Hello there. I thought we'd do something a bit different today. So Highlander Man is taking forever, as always. So thought I'd give you all something to enjoy in the meantime. Call it filler content if you must. But here we are. So we are ranking RuneScape NPCs based on how good I think they would be at playing RuneScape. It's the most meta video you'll see this week, guaranteed. So, here's a standard tier list. You know how this works. You've got S tier at the top, your super sweats. These are the sort of people that would be top with the high scores. They'd have 200 mil stats. They'd always be sweating it out. And the ones at the bottom, your free-to-play Freddies. These are the people who get killed at Dark Wizards all the time, don't know where Varrock is. You know the drill. So where would we put everyone? So Ali More Sane, I'm going to put him in A tier. So he's the sort of person who I imagine would be running some sort of shady merch clan that encourages noobs to buy a bunch of dodgy, low-volume items that no one ever would actually want. A standard pump and dump scheme. He'd have some sketchy clan chat where he's making bank and tricking noobs to buy a ton of an item and then selling it for mad profit. So he'd always have mad stack. Stats-wise, not much, but he's going to be the sort of guy that's got mad money. And, that's all that really matters in life, isn't it? After that, King of Wogri, King of Wogri, however you say that. Well, he's a monkey. He doesn't seem to know much what's going on. I imagine him in D tier, to be honest. I imagine he'd be the head of some sort of clan, and they would get into pointless rivalries with other clans, and they'd just be really toxic. I don't imagine him being great at anything else. He's just a little monkey. I don't know, what's he doing? So yeah, D tier for him. Next up, it's Bob the Cat. I'm gonna put him in C tier. He's a standard player. He knows what he's doing. He's a bit old school. He likes to keep things simple. Nothing too complicated. You won't catch him at raids. He's just doing a Slayer task, standard stuff. Nothing crazy from him. Next up, Charlie the Tramp. I'm going to put him in B tier. So, Charlie the Tramp, he's running a scam as well, but it's a different scam to the Ali More Sane. So, we've already seen his regular scamming with, the leather bodies and the cooked herring. So he's the sort of guy, he'd have a pretty good bank, but he'd always be at the Grand Exchange being like, dancing for money, I'm new, please help, selling 13 cooked trouts. And he'd be getting all the donations because he'd fool you. You'd think he's poor, but he's actually got mad bank. So he knows what he's doing, and he's playing his cards right to make some GP by pretending to be a noob. So B tier for Charlie the Tramp. So the Lumberjack Cook, instant F tier for him. He's the epitome of the clueless noob. He's the sort of guy that would be making the Facebook posts on OSRS and he'd taking them with his phone and just be the most clueless player you've ever met. Just the epitome of the useless free-to-play player. So F tier for him. For Doric, I'm gonna put him in C tier. So Doric, I imagine, is like the classic RuneScape boomer. So he doesn't know what a raid is. He doesn't care. He doesn't do it. He just likes to go and kill standard things that he used to do when he was a kid. You'll find him at KBD. You'll find him at Calfight Queen. He doesn't do raids. He doesn't PK. He doesn't know what any of that stuff is. He just wants to get his stats up the old-fashioned way, just like we used to. He's never going to have a skill cape. He doesn't need it. Occasionally he'll do a quest, but that's about it. So standard C tier for Doric. Evil Dave, F tier for him as well. He's useless, but not as useless as the cook. He is... I imagine him going to the wilderness and trying to PK and doing terribly every time. He goes to the wrong spots. He never gets anything. The only people he ever kills are like the defenseless people, and he's always wondering like, why do I never get a spade? Like, how do I recreate these mad loot videos that I see on YouTube where they get bills? It's like, no, he's just killing guys at the agility course or at doing clue scrolls. If he ever goes up against a real PK, he instantly gets decimated. He's trying his best to be evil, but he's not very good at it. So F tier for Evil Dave. Father Eric, gonna put him in D tier. He couldn't even get rid of a ghost by himself. Like, this guy, he's standard. He's fine. He doesn't need to do much. He's just He's running a church. I imagine he would maybe go baby Davy down for a bit of the role playing. That's a dead art these days, but you'd see him at the church just, giving speeches, trying to bring the light of Saradam into everyone's life. But ultimately, his stats aren't the best, and he's fine doing it that way. So yeah, D tier for him. The fishing spot, C tier for fishing spot. Fishing spots are, he's an alright guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows the basics. Nothing too crazy, but I don't know. Fishing spot's a kind of cool guy, so I imagine him in C tier. Fred the farmer. We already have Doric as the boomer. Fred the farmer's kind of in the same boat. Obviously, he'd have a farming skill cape. He'd be like one of those people that logs in, does a farm run, and then logs off, and he does that 20 times a day, and that's about it. So he'd have a farming skill cape. He's trying to get the Tangle route, but other than that, don't see him doing much, other than just yelling at kids occasionally. So C tier for Fred the farmer. General Khazard. So he's evil, but actually better at it than Evil Dave. I'm going to put him in B tier. So he'll be the sort of guy that's terrorizing the wilderness. He would lock down the agility course and make you pay him a mil to stop killing you over and over, and then kill you anyway. He would just be a complete toxic dickhead. And you would, every time you go to the wilderness, this guy would show up and he would stalk you and he would rag you and he would follow you and just constantly harass you and tell you to sit. Not the best actual player, but annoying enough to make you want to log off and, quit for a few days. So, pretty decent PK though. So, B tier for General Khazard. Gertrude. I'm putting her in B tier on the basis of being very wholesome. So, she's the sort of person, she'd get a cat, and she'd never sell it for death runes because she couldn't bring herself to do it. And she'd celebrate her cat's birthday with a cake and everything. And she'd be like comparing pets, and all she'd care about is getting pets. But the only one she'd ever get is the cat because everything else is too complicated. And she'd have a nice POH and, nice fashionscape and stuff. But just generally wholesome player. So if you ever wanted someone to compare cats against, then Gertrude's your guy, but that's not right. Gertrude's the person you'd want. So it's B tier for Gertrude. The gnome child, I'm going to put in D tier. So obviously, he would be playing the game the way we all remember playing the game. He would spend 20 hours killing cows with a granite plate body and adamant plate legs. His weapon of choice would be a black warhammer, and he wouldn't have a clue what he's doing, but he'd be having the time of his life, just like we all used to. He would do occasional quests. He may be finishing Dragon Slayer 1 would be his prime achievement. Anything else harder than that would be too complicated. He never goes to the wilderness because it's too scary. He doesn't watch guides. He doesn't go on the wiki. He doesn't know anything. He's got a clue scroll in his bank that he doesn't know how to finish, and it will be there forever because he'll never even think about looking it up. He's still going to have infinite more fun than we all are, than before we all got jaded and bored and addicted to the game, and here we are, still stuck here 20 years later. So D tier, but the top of D tier, and having a great time for the gnome child. So this looks like a generic dude, but it's actually Hans. So Hans is C tier. I don't expect him to be very good. He'll be the sort of guy that will have an encyclopedic knowledge of very specific things and then know absolutely nothing about other very basic things. So you would go to him and you'd be like, hey, do you remember about the fishing skill? And he'd tell you, but the fishing skill was introduced on this year at this day, and he'd have all the stats and all the knowledge of the code. But then if you tell him what's the best thing to wear, what's the best equipment to use to kill gargoyles on a Slayer task, he'd be like, I don't know. That's just the sort of guy he is. He would only know a lot about very specific things. And that's just how he plays. He's got he's got decent stats. He's doing all right. And you ask him things, but you've got a coin flip whether he knows everything or not. So C tier, but kind of high C tier for Hans. So King Rold, I'm actually going to do King Rold and Queen Ella Maria. I think that's how it's said. Queen Ella Maria. They go together. So in D tier. So I imagine them. They would have some cutesy names that go together, their usernames. So he would be like the Muffin Man, and she would be his Muffin with like a little X or something. And they look all cutesy, But behind the scenes, he's actually just massively simping for her. She only lets him play when they play together. They do everything together, every activity. She's constantly making him like grind her account for her, making him do anything difficult, giving her all his money, all his GP, so that she can have the best fashion scape. And that's just the way their relationship is. And it's kind of cute, and it's kind of funny, and it's kind of sad, but that's how it is. They always play together, you know, a true RuneScape romance, if you will. So I'm putting them both in D tier though, because they wouldn't actually have a clue on what they're doing. So next up we've got Konar, A tier for Konar. So she would, I imagine her with all of her weird balance rules, she would be sort of OCD player that has to level up stats to be even. So get one level in one skill, move to the next skill. One level in that skill, move to the next skill. And would be probably the only person in the history of the game to not get runecrafting experience from the tiers of Gothics, because all their stats are the same, so she'd get a different stat every time. And she hasn't maxed yet because all her stats are level 91, but she knows what she's doing. She's pretty efficient. She's grinded. She's top level. So A tier for Konar. Lumbridge Guide, he goes in B. So again, he's a wholesome dude. So he would be the sort of guy that would hang about in the starting area, so hanging around Lumbridge, spotting new players, giving them a hand, giving them free items, like, oh, you just started the game, let me show you around, you know, the sort of breed of game we just don't see anymore, because the only people playing RuneScape now are jaded old boomers who start an account and get a 99 within a week because they instantly know everything already anyway, because we've already been playing for a million years. You just don't see these sort of people anymore. But if this game was still new and these sort of people new people still existed, then that's the sort of person he would be. He would be there. He would make friends with all the newbies. Oh, you want to join my clan? Here's 10k, and they'd think he's a legend. And you know, he would just be such a huge help to all the noobs. So B tier for wholesomeness on the Lumbridge Guide. Now, Mysterious Old Man, A tier. So A tier because of how entertaining he would be to watch. So I imagine him as the sort of player that is constantly bug abusing. He knows the glitches, he's showing up, he's teleporting people around the game, he's glitching in places he shouldn't be, but he's completely harmless. He never uses his glitches to do anything like nefarious. He just like shows up at the Grand Exchange as a gorilla, and everyone's following him around like, oh my god, how did you do that? But really, he's just like, he's never going to tell anyone, because it's more fun that way. And Jadix knows he's harmless, but they keep having to ban him because like you can't let people get away with bug abuse. But he's so funny and everyone loves him, and he's like something of a legend. He's like, oh my god, Mysterious Old Man, have you seen him? And every time he gets banned, he just shows up a week later with a new account with some new bug, and you just don't know when he's going to show up. And everyone loves watching him. And yeah, he'd be sort of like a background mythical figure that you sort of talk about with hushed voices so that you don't get him banned. So yeah, A tier for entertainment from the Mysterious Old Man. So someone else is looking a bit shady as well, Osman. Osman goes in B tier. So Osman, obviously he's got a thieving skill cape, just putting that out there because clearly he does. But other than that, so he's the sort of guy, he's doing shady stuff. He's always pretending to be like, oh, I hate bots, and you know, oh, I hate real world trade. But like secretly, like he's doing a few things he shouldn't be. He sold a few fire capes in his time. He's learning how to sell infernal capes. He went to Discord secretly that he shouldn't be. But that's what he does. And he says, you know, it's fine, it's to help people out. But really, it's just like, he's just making money on it. But I put him in A tier, being B tier, sorry, because of his playing ability. You know, he knows how to do those things. His playing would be pretty good. That's just how I imagine him being. So B tier for Osman. Next up is Robert Bossman, also known as God. Instant S tier, obviously. He's just trying to make some friends. He's trying to make some little tree friends. You know, he's got a clan. They're never toxic. You just can't be toxic around him. He's got a clan. Everyone's friendly all the time. You always get a GZ no matter what you do. You could be getting a level 2 woodcutting or finishing Dragon Slayer 2, but you still get the same amount of gratzes in the chat because they just want to congratulate you. You know, they just want everyone to have a good time, just be friends with everyone. So S tier for the highest levels of wholesomeness from God. And then instant bottom F tier for Romeo for being probably even, you think it would be impossible for someone to be more useless than the cook, but no, Romeo takes the cake. And I mean, look at his face. It looks like he's completely zoned out of it. Like he doesn't have a clue what's going on. Like he's just taken a hit of the Renar and he's just like completely gone. Seen a horse for the first time, maybe. So yeah, F tier. So he would be stuck. He would constantly get himself killed over and over again. He would get lured into the wilderness. He would never have any items, because if he ever had anything of value, he would accept a teleport request to Anakal or the Ice Plateau and instantly get killed every time for his 100k that he's managed to accumulate. So yeah, the epitome of the clueless loser. F tier for Romeo. Next after that, it's the Sandwich Lady, and she gets to go in B tier. So similar to Gertrude, put them next to each other maybe. Put them down there. I should rearrange these more at the end, but so again, very wholesome. So she would be, I imagine her going around. She's probably got a cooking skill cape. She goes around in like cute fashion scape, and she appears at like popular Slayer spots, and she's offering food to people. Like, oh, do you need any food to help you so you can stay longer? And you know, she doesn't ask for any money. She gives you a few monkfish. She gives you some cake. You have a good time. But everyone can't help but give her money anyway, because they appreciate her being there. So, you know, you're doing skeletal wyverns. You keep running out of food. It's a pain in the arse. But you've got the Sandwich Lady there, and she's helping you out. So B tier for her, for, you know, just being wholesome. Certification, he gets to go in B tier. Although I feel like I'm putting everyone in B tier now. But B tier again. So on the outside, he looks, you know, squeaky clean, nice guy, standard good player, but behind the scenes he's doing some shady business. So it's the sort of guy that secretly leads a real world trade clan, secretly locks down the Rev Caves, extorts money from people, constantly selling gold. But on the outside, you know, he's like a famous YouTuber, he's big on Twitter, he's always, you know, like, oh, I'm a nice guy, I'm you know, you think he's a standard legit player, but behind the scenes he's got all these shady dealings going on. But he is always pulling the strings, and he knows how to play the game. So that's why I put him in B. So actually, I think I'm gonna upgrade him to A tier for that, for his criminal mastermindery, we could call it. Next up, Thurgo. So Thurgo obviously A tier, because one, he's a massive chad, super handsome dude. Obviously, he's got a smithing skill cape and a mining skill cape. Then he went to 200 mil smithing experience, 200 mil mining experience. But he's the sort of guy that's not enough. He's already got top of the leaderboards, but he then makes 3 more accounts to train simultaneously to get 200 mil experience in smithing and mining again, so that he can have like the top 5. Did I say 5? However many. So that he can have like all the top spots for smithing and mining across all of his accounts. Because he just loves skilling that much. He is just that insane sort of player. So that's why I'm putting him in A tier for Thurgo. After that, we've got Trader Stan. So Trader Stan is like the wholesome version of Ali Morsane. So he's like flipping OSRS on YouTube. So he always understands how the market works. He's always got all 6 of his GE slots filled. He's making mad money. It doesn't matter if it's bronze arrows or kebabs or Robin Hood hats, dragon pickaxes, every single item. He knows exactly how the market works. He's always making mad money. He's already accumulated a max cash stack like 3 times over, but he still does it. Stats wise, he's got all the buyables, but none of the others, because he doesn't do any of those training because they're too slow for him. But anything he can buy, he will buy it. He's got sick fashion scape, mad money, and he does it all legitimately. He doesn't need a clan. He doesn't need to scam people. He just uses his brain, and he knows how to do it because he's got the knowledge. So A tier for Trader Stan. Next up we've got Vanica, who I'm going straight to S tier. So I mean, he's a chad. He's the only person in the game to have unlocked the skill of being able to hold a 2-handed sword and a shield at the same time, because he's just such a chad that he managed to do that somehow. Like, what is this, SAO? But somehow he's done that. And even though it's not actually that useful, he still does it all the time, because, you know, he's the only one who can, so he's going to make use of it. He's got max combat stats. He's got max Slayer stats. He's got 200 mil Slayer experience. All he does is kill stuff. He's got 13 woodcutting. He never trained it any more than that. All he cares about is killing things. He's got, you know, high score leaderboards on things like Theatre of Blood, He does everything solo. He's probably done it on a few Iron Man accounts as well, because that's just the kind of insane guy he is. All the time, all day, every day, killing stuff. And that's what he does. And so that's why I'm putting him in S tier. All right, just a few more now. So next up, we've got, I've used Verak for this one. He's the best Barrows brother, but I'm using this to represent all the Barrows brothers. And obviously they go in A tier. So Barrows brothers, they would be in a clan. It would just be the 6 of them. And they would go and they would kill all the bosses. And they would figure it all out. They would do 6-man stacks of Theatre of Blood, 6-man stacks on Tombs of Massacre. They'd get the world record on the times for a 6 stack, and all the other bosses. They would just completely roast every God Wars dungeon boss. Occasionally, you'd find them in the wilderness. They'd be protecting some dumb noobs, protecting people who are getting, attacked by their clans. Combat geniuses. That's how they are. But a bit lower in the other stats. So, A tier for the Barrows brothers. I'm going to do Zanuck next, because I don't have much to say about her, so put her in top of D tier, maybe. Don't really know what to say about her. She'd train her range. She'd be a strange ranged pure, but not for any PKing reasons, just because that's what she likes. She'd try and do every quest with ranged, even if it's impossible, and she'd always be asking on Twitter if Mod Ash will give the ability for ranged pures to do things they shouldn't be able to do, asking for more crossbow shortcut spots that no one will ever use because we want to make it more relevant. It's just the sort of player I imagine him being, constantly asking for new stuff. So yeah, D tier for Zanuck. And finally, the poster boy of this tier list, S tier for the Wise Old Man. So, Mysterious Old Man is using glitches and they're harmless. Wise Old Man is constantly doing major bug abuses and just causing havoc. So he is the sort of guy who would be a constant thorn in Jajex's side. He would have such a ridiculous knowledge of the code base and the spaghetti code that he just makes the game his bitch. So he's teleporting all over the place. He's showing up in your quest cutscenes. He's showing up in your POH. He's glitching. He's got a monkey model. He's got his face in the floor. He's turned into Jad. Holy shit. He knows everything. And every time Jajex bans him, he just turns up 2 days later with another maxed account somehow. You never know what he's going to do next. And it's always hilarious. All the players love him, but the fucking developers hate him. Developers hate him. Become the Wise Old Man with this one weird trick. Yeah, because he makes it so they have to fix their code all the time, and it's a pain in the ass. But he just does it again because he loves it. He wants to be, notorious, infamous for the things he's done. He will go down in history as being the only account to finish Dragon Slayer 2 with a level 4 account or whatever. Even though it should be impossible, he always figures it out. He's got more fire capes than sense. This is the guy. I do feel like I'm just describing Rendy, but that's how I see it. So it's like Rendy to the max. This is the Wise Old Man, so that's why I'm putting him S tier. There we go. So there's the tier list. So just to finish up, so the far right should be the highest of the tier, and the far left should be the lowest of the tier. So I'm going to put Vanica down there. Let's see, Thurgo at the top, followed by the Mysterious Old Man, Trader Stan. The bottom, yeah, B tier, yeah, wholesome characters go further right, that's fine. C tier, Fishing Spot is better than Fred the Farmer, hands down, and Doric is better than Fred the Farmer, there we go. D tier, obviously Gnome Child goes to the top for having the most fun. Father Oak is more wholesome than those two, so come on. There we go. Yeah, and of these three, he's the most useless. He's the least useless, so there we go. And there we go, that wraps it up. So, something a bit different today. Let me know if you like it. If it's boring, if it's lame, let me know. Call me a nerd. I'll get rid of it. I won't do it anymore. But if you think it's interesting, I want to try and mix in some other videos rather than just making Highlander Man, because I love Highlander Man, but it takes forever to make, to edit, to record, to script. So I just want to make some other sort of more casual content to fill in the gaps. I will put a link to this tier list down below because I say I made it. I can't really take credit for it, but I created this template. So if you want to make your own tier list, put it on Reddit, impress your friends for some reason, then I'll put it down below so you can do that. And I think that's everything. So thanks for watching if you did. And that's about it. See ya.